The Arizona wind carried a kind of warning the HOA never expected. Because the day, their self-appointed HOA cop showed up and threatened my 76-year-old grandpa. Grandpa didn't even bother standing. He just leaned back in his old rocking chair, calm as desert stone, and lifted a long-barrel revolver straight toward the officer's chest. What followed sent shockwaves through the entire neighborhood. Arizona's open land holds a silence that feels ancient, like it remembers every argument, every standoff, every secret buried beneath its dust. And right in the middle of that silence sat my grandpa, rocking gently on his porch, long gray hair moving with the breeze. He wasn't loud. He wasn't quick to anger. But when he acted, it mattered. That morning, the piece cracked the second a glossy black HOA SUV rolled up the dirt road, throwing dust high into the air. Outstepped the so-called HOA cop, chest out, boots shining, ego louder than the engine he'd just shut off. He marched toward the porch like he owned land he'd never even walked before. No greeting, no courtesy, just a sharp command. Sir, you are in violation of multiple HOA codes, illegal fencing unapproved, shed restricted tools. Fix it by tomorrow or we take action. Grandpa didn't stop rocking. His eyes remained on the horizon as if the officer's voice was nothing more than a gust of desert wind. Finally, he spoke, steady and unshaken. This land isn't under your HOA. The officer stepped closer, too close, planting his boot on the first porch. Stepped like he was confronting a criminal. You don't decide that. I have the authority to enforce compliance. The rocking slowed, then stopped. No panic, no rush. Just a man who had seen enough storms to recognize a small one. His hand drifted to the side of the chair. The officer stiffened. What are you reaching for? Grandpa didn't answer with words. He answered with steel. In one smooth motion, he raised his long-barrel revolver. No tremor, no hesitation. The barrel pointed squarely at the officer's chest. His arm was steady, his gaze unblinking. The HOA cop froze. Every ounce of swagger drained from him in a heartbeat. Grandpa met his eyes and said quietly, Son, take one more step and you're trespassing. You came here to threaten an old man. I'm giving you one chance to back away. Color vanished from the officer's face. His hands lifted halfway, not in surrender, but in disbelief. He had expected fear, not cold iron aimed at his ribs. He stumbled backward off the porch, boots scraping gravel. The shouting was gone now. Only nervous breathing remained. He rushed to his SUV, slammed the door, and sped off so fast the tires nearly lost traction. Dust lingered long after he disappeared. Grandpa lowered the revolver, slid it back beneath the chair, and resumed, rocking as if nothing had happened. But I knew better. A man with bruised pride doesn't retreat quietly. He comes back louder. And next time he wouldn't come alone. The following morning, the desert felt different. The wind cut sharper. The air hung heavier. Even the birds avoided Grandpa's property as if they sensed what was coming. Two black SUVs roared down the dirt road, moving like they were charging into battle. Grandpa sat on the porch, again rocking slowly, sipping black coffee from his metal cup. But his eyes were locked on the rising dust cloud. Figured he'd bring backup, he muttered. The first SUV screeched to a stop. The same HOA cop stepped out, still pale. From yesterday, anger burning through his embarrassment. But today he wasn't alone. Two more officers followed, wearing identical authority style. Uniforms, stiff posture, inflated. Confidence. They lined up like a squad, ready to enforce rules they didn't even understand. The lead officer barked, Sir, you brandish a firearm in an HOA. Official, that's a serious violation. And we are here to Grandpa set down his coffee before he could finish. He leaned forward just a little. You boys need to learn the difference between a neighborhood rule book and a constitution. Annoyed glances passed between them. The lead officer signaled the others to move. Closer. Remove the shed. Remove the fence, or we remove it ourselves. That's when Grandpa stood, slowly, deliberately. When a man his age rises like that, back, straight, chin firm, it carries the weight of decades. He stepped off the porch, and the officers instinctively shifted backward. Even without drawing a weapon, his presence outweighed every badge they wore. This land belonged to my father, he said softly, and his father before him. It was never part of your HOA. The pride-blinded officer pushed forward. We are authorized to begin. Removal now. Step aside. Grandpa didn't budge. The officer gave another aggressive signal, and the two backup men started toward the shed. That's when Grandpa reached under his coat, not for the revolver, but for a thick, weathered folder. He tossed it onto the hood of their SUV. Inside were land deeds, survey maps, county records older than the HOA itself, proof that not 1 inch of this property belonged to them. The officers studied the papers, and their confidence cracked visibly. The lead HOA cop tried to recover. These documents mean nothing until we verify them. Grandpa held his gaze. I don't need your permission to own what's mine. Silence fell. Heavy, final. They had no legal standing, no authority, no victory to claim. One by one, they stepped back, climbed into their SUVs, and drove away without another word. Grandpa watched them vanish into the heat, then returned his chair and resumed rocking like always. But news of the standoff spread fast, and the HOA board, they weren't finished, not even close.